afternoon, good evening, and a good morning to some of you from wherever you're watching us from. This is Uganda Crossroads here on Campfire TV and LifeM TV Live on Facebook or online, and those who are watching us from the different platforms where we do broadcast or stream our programs. I want to thank you and welcome you today. It is a Saturday and a week where we celebrate, as Christians do celebrate Easter, the day Jesus died and rose from the dead, and others are celebrating in different ways. So if you're Christian, it's a good time for you to actually be part of Uganda Crossroads. Now, every day comes with something new, and this week, we've had a lot of new stories developing in Uganda, inclusive of the age limit, which we expected to, bring either good results for some people, bad results to others. So that's always about politics. So there is nothing new that changes in politics. Sometimes it favors you, sometimes it doesn't. But the biggest major and sad story to me was the story about this lady who died in Oman, and she was brought back to Uganda. And so many controversies that are coming up. Some people saying, well, she was killed, and others are saying, well, she committed suicide. But the ultimate goal of everything was, what is the government doing to make sure that these people's lives are protected when they go there? Are they going there to work to better their lives, or are they going there as slaves? Is the government following up? So these are the stories that really are happening in our country today, and actually they still continue to happen, and they've happened in the past. So the thing is still continuing up as people are losing lives. But let me start with a short breaking news or ad for what's happening or what is going to happen next Saturday, April 27th. We shall be having a town hall meeting here in our studios, and people who are in New York, Massachusetts and neighboring cities, Maine, Maryland, here in the United States of America, you are greatly, highly welcome to come and be part of the entire town hall meeting, where we are starting with the UNA presidential candidates. And this time we are starting with Dr. Daniel Kawuma, who will be live here in the studio, and people are welcome to come and be part of the town hall. So tell your friend, tell your neighbor not to miss out. It's going to be a new beginning probably for UNA, for people who know about UNA, the good and the bad things within the association. This is going to be the right time to ask questions to these few individuals. So it's going to be next week, Saturday, April 27th, starting at 5:30 p.m. So I want to thank you so much again for being part of the programs we have. So I started with a story about this lady who died in Oman, and in the studio tonight, we have Hillary Taylor. He's back with us, our resident guest, and a new guest. She's called Sylvia Kakio. She has been working so much with non-profit organizations. She studied law at Campfire University in Uganda. She has represented Uganda in international organizations. She is a human rights activist and, of course, an advocate for change, not for just political change, but for also development. So I want to thank people who are joining us today. If it's your first time to join Uganda Crossroads, this is a great opportunity to hear what great men and women have to share always. And I ask you to continue sharing the programs, continue inviting as many people as you want to come and be part of the show. So guys, I want to thank you for coming in again. Hillary, it's been a great week, and I think you've had fun out of it, especially now the constitution was now officially we know that the age limit was removed. So that is the story. Sylvia, I want to thank you for joining us today. It's really a great pleasure to have you here at Uganda at Crossroads. The story is great. So Hillary, first introduce yourself, then we go to Sylvia.
Well, greetings to our dear viewers. I'm profoundly honored and exceedingly humbled to be hosted here again on this wonderful talk show, Uganda at Crossroads. It has been a black week in the history of our country. Uganda today is bleeding, and we as the young people who are the majority in our population, we have to be concerned than before when we look at the status quo. Today we know, this week we know it's a holy week, but in our country, it's a black week. Whatever this tyrant regime has done will never be forgotten. So we want to remind all Ugandans that history can be made, but it can't be edited. So whatever person or individuals made that mess with the Supreme Court verdict, we shall always remember you, and we are not going to sit down. We are going to rise up, and we are going to be resilient until we defeat General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, because we are telling him enough is enough. We cannot have more dictatorship in our country.
All right, so here, I want to thank you. So, Sylvia, what's going on? I mean, first of all, I want to welcome you to the show again. And, you know, you being in non-government organization, starting from there, I think we can have much more information from what's going on and, you know, in the world and, of course, Uganda. So, introduce yourself again.
Well, thank you very much, the moderator of the program. I'm very privileged to be hosted here and to be given an opportunity for me to air out my views on behalf of other young people back home in my beloved country, Uganda, and also to give out my views, appreciating what the government has done back home. Unfortunately, I'm not like Hillary, who is, who is really crying. Looking at Uganda as Uganda is bleeding. I'm proud to say that currently Uganda is not bleeding, but rather we are in a transformational process. And with that, I would say thank you so much for hosting us.
All right, so I want to thank you so much, and I think I will start with here. Now, last week, we got news from this woman who died in Oman as I was opening up the show. I talked about her. Is this a problem of the government? Because on several occasions we've had President Museveni saying that people who are being exported to Middle East should stop, companies should stop, you know, the act should stop the business. But over the time, we see the Vice President, Sekandi, coming out to launch their departure. What does that tell you as a hearing, as a, you know, a concerned citizen of Uganda?
Well, as a concerned citizen, of course, if you look at the trends of this government, they've never told us the truth. They always are telling us lies, 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 each and every time. And as Obote said in 1982, that Museveni, Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, is a pathological liar. That is the fact. Because this government is feeding us on lies, and they have nothing more to promise Ugandans. Recently, years ago, of course, you saw the Foreign Minister, Okello Oryem, signing a bilateral agreement with the Saudi government. So in other words, they were agreeing to export young Ugandans to go and work as maids in Gulf countries, to be specific in Saudi Arabia. So today, of course, the government knows it very well that very many young people are, you know, lacking employment opportunities. So it's a weakness and a failure of this regime to provide employment opportunities that young people have resorted to seeking alternatives. So they have, you know, sacrificed their lives to do anything possible to survive. Because in this economy today of Mr. Museveni, it's called survival for the fittest. So very many young people have gone to Bahrain, have gone to Qatar, have gone to Saudi Arabia, have gone to Yemen, have gone to Iraq, name it. And the government is aware of all these things. They are living under very harsh conditions. The jobs they promised them before they leave our country are different from you know, the reality they find there on the ground. Very many young girls are being sexually harassed by their bosses. And the government can't do nothing to fight for the rights of our sisters and brothers. Very many young girls have made, you know, calls. They've cried out loud on social media to call upon the stakeholders to come and, you know, bail them out. But our consulates in those countries have failed to open doors for these Ugandans. Ugandans go to embassies or consulates in those countries to speak out, to seek for help, and they are closed out. So imagine you're Ugandan and you work in Saudi Arabia, you've gone to your embassy. The embassy you think, you believe that has to protect you at any cost each and every time. And they're telling you can't enter.
All right, so...
But again, if it's a foreigner, they're going to open for them very fast. So where are we going to run from? Why are we going through this harsh condition like this? What is the motive of this government of Mr. Museveni? Do they want to see all the young people you know, dying like this? Young Ugandans are graduates. They are graduates in medicine. in law, in biology, in physics, in history, in economics. We are losing this potential labor that could change our economic setting.
All right, so
and we are engaging in brain drain. And by the way, this has also increased, cases of human trafficking. And this is modern day slavery. So we cannot sit down and say whatever is going on is okay.
Let me interject a bit.
Right, sure.
Hilary, first of all, I send my condolences to the family of the deceased. It's too unfortunate that we've lost such a energetic, strong young person at that age.
At 25 years old.
Yes, it's really unfortunate, especially to us, the young people, I mean, the entire nation, definitely. But let's go back to 2016. In 2016, actually, Uganda banned its nationals from working in Oman. And last year, 2018, the Minister of Gender, Labor, Social and Labor and Social Development, that is Honorable Janet Mkwaya, came out clearly to the public and told the public that we don't, they don't recognize the young Ugandans who are working from countries like Dubai, Qatar, Kuwait,
right,
but rather they recognize those who are in Jordan and Saudi Arabia, because they signed an agreement. But surprisingly, despite of all that, we have 80,000 Ugandans working in the Middle East. And this, you can find this report on the Uganda Association of the External Recruitment Agencies, which is an umbrella body of licensed firm.
But under what conditions
the question would be
working?
I mean, no, let me, I'm coming to a point. Imagine a half of Oman's population of 4 million people are foreigners. Women working as domestics, and mostly these women are from Asian countries, like
Philippines, Vietnam,
Indonesia, I think even from India, and these countries extended tight rules to the recruiting agencies, in regards to protection, to the work protections and salary requirements, whereby recruiters now, and because of that, recruiting agencies are now turning to East Africa, where we have weak rules, where they know people can work for less, and they are using this as an advantage to come and take our young people.
So the question would be, what is the government doing towards making sure that the people who go in these countries are protected, right? What do you think? Okay, I think I brought it directly. So what should the government do to protect the people who go in these countries?
Now, first of all, it's wrong for the government to lose such young, brilliant people to go and work for other countries. If that labor force would have stayed back home, then it would be very fair. So the government, first of all, it has to provide employment opportunities, but it has failed. It's on record. For 33 years, the rates of unemployment among young people are just escalating. So 80% youth unemployment. That has never been in our history, only in this regime of Mr. Museveni. So that's a failure. Now, Sylvia was telling you that, she was talking about, the numbers. For me, I don't mind about the numbers. However much they're like 1 million or 80,000 and so on, but under what conditions are they working? So if you are working under harsh conditions and your government has failed to protect you, to fight for your rights, then we are saying that's BS. We have to fight this. So any government has to protect, its people, because just look at this country like US. If a citizen of US comes to Uganda and they are sexually harassed, you just see, security operatives from the US embassy coming to that position and they rescue that citizen. But this government has failed to rescue our sisters and brothers. They make phone calls to the embassies and they get no positive feedback. So they've cut off ties and they can't know what's on ground. Very many Ugandans are rotting in jails today. So if you go to also China, because today it's not only about the Middle East or the Gulf countries. So go far away as countries as China. Very many Ugandans are waiting for death penalties. So, and the government has failed to send legal teams to fight for the rights of these people. So as migrant workers in any country, we have inalienable rights and inherent rights. So our governments have to protect our rights at any cost.
I do agree.
Whether you're innocent or guilty, the government has to be there for a citizen at any cost.
Yes, I do agree with you, Hilary. But before we go in and blame the government, put all the blemishes to the government, the blame to everyone.
No. But by the way, I'm not blaming the government.
Right. No.
Hold on. The reason as to why I'm talking about the government, one, is the government is giving out licenses to these agencies that are taking our sisters and brothers to the Gulf countries. So what has the government done to cancel those licenses?
Let me interject
how often
a little
does the
bit.
government go to the ground and do inspections to see the conditions under which our sisters and brothers are working through? So all these initiatives the government has to do. So if the government has failed to follow up on the living conditions of our brothers and sisters, then it's a mess. And the government, but by the way, let me tell you that there are some mafias within the government who are owning these agencies.
Right, so
they know about the issues of human trafficking and they are scanning it.
Before we go even further, Hilary, like you and me as citizens, before we take all the blame to the government, what have we done?
One.
You and me. As a
all right, so let me interject a little bit here.
I think this is the high time we as young people take on the task. Let's hold the government accountable.
Okay, share with us through what ways are you going to hold this
let me try
dictatorship accountable?
So here, let me share with you a little bit. I mean, I'm a moderator. Sometimes I don't want to give my personal opinions, but this is my opinion that I'll give over that. Why we need to engage. Last year when we were demonstrating here in Boston, in New York, remember when we were demonstrating about Bobi Wine release after the Lubuurwa saga, I posted and I said after the Bobi Wine saga, the next move we should be working on is to task the government over what's going on in the Middle East. And guess what? 90% of the people who reacted, this wasn't a government or people paid by the government. People reacted against me saying, I don't know what I'm talking about. And unfortunately, I've seen people dying from Middle East. We've had stories. You've watched social media, people posting the lives they're going through, right? Somebody leaves Uganda to go to Middle East to take care of human beings, then he's taking care of animals, right? He's a farmer. He left Uganda to go and look for better opportunities, but instead of farming in Uganda, you go to Oman to do farming, which wasn't part of the deal. Now, here's a problem. The people who abused me were not part of the government. They were fellow human beings. And when I looked at this story personally of this lady who died, I was like, God forbid, but I was like, thank God, now people can see the truth of what I was talking about. Just imagine if we had started immediately to demand the government to come up with the regulations about for these people who are being affected there. I think by today would be okay. But what did we do? We, the human beings, before we blame the government. Tell me here before Sylvia tells.
Now you see, you're privileged to be in the U.S.
Right.
In that, in this country where we're living, nobody can exploit you like that. And the police or FBI failed to intervene as soon as possible. But it's the opposite in the Gulf countries. If you're a foreigner, you're treated as maybe not as, it could be like a third-class citizen. You're treated like an animal by some people in those countries. You've seen very many videos where they're torturing people. And you feel like this is beyond torture. This is inhumane. So,
so what should people do?
The people,
I mean, yeah.
you see, at times when you find that the system has, imprisoned you to the extent, you'll find options. So people are saying, I'd rather go for greener pastures. I die in a foreign country, but when I've tried my luck in a different environment. Because the environment in our country has failed to work for Ugandans. They don't go there by choice, but it's because of the push factors back home that are leading them to go to diaspora. And you've seen also very many dying on boats that's capsized on the Mediterranean Sea when they're trying to go to Europe, maybe Italy, Spain, Norway, or Germany or Sweden. So the status quo has affected like majority of Ugandans. So if you are telling me to engage in agriculture, not everyone is going to engage in agriculture. Even in countries like Netherlands, that is surviving on agriculture as its economic backbone, not everyone is engaged in that in agriculture. So if I studied to be a doctor and I failed to get a job in government hospitals or clinics or private hospitals, I want to find alternatives. Did I waste time to go to school and spend 5 years in medical school, and then you're telling me to go back to engage in agriculture? And first of all, not everyone has land. Maybe for a few who are
sure.
Maybe for a few who are blessed that they have inherited land, or their parents have pieces of land. But again, to some of us, we don't have any piece of land. You're a fresh graduate. You have hopes in the government that is going to provide you employment opportunities after school. You've invested a lot of resources from nursery school to university. How many years are those?
Quite a number.
And now you're telling me to go to the village and engage in agriculture. And again, look at the market. Because today, look at what happened with the produce. Because people in Kabale are complaining.
Right. Yeah, sure.
No, because we talked about agriculture. People in Kabale are complaining. They have no market.
I gave you an example.
To sell their produce.
So here
because
again,
the nearest market is Rwanda.
All right, so
and now you hear the trade minister, Amelia Chamba, they're telling them to look for alternative markets.
I gave you an example.
Congo market.
I gave you an example.
So look at the proximity from Kabale to Kasese border, and you're selling Irish. So what are the proceeds you're going to get from
sure.
Because you're engaging in subsistence farming.
All right.
So before you even, the question was, how can we as young people task the government, to play its role in the circumstances that are happening? One, I think as young people, me, you, and him, it is now our time to come out. We have this strong power. I mean, look, we make 75% of our population. How about us coming out and task the government that, hey, you know what? It's high time the government increase on the domestic workers' protections, And then also look at the laws that are governing these recruiting agencies, But besides that as well, we as young people, yes, we know we have challenges with jobs in Uganda. But again, you as a young person, you have your family, you have kids to look after. Before you also board that plane to go to Oman, I'm not saying that it's bad, and I'm not saying, I'm not stopping fellow young people to go and work. But again, before you go, you make that decision. How about first finding information about this particular organization? There are so many things.
Let me intervene.
Let me just intervene. Let me just intervene.
Yeah, sure.
No. My comrade Sylvia here. One, you don't know the government you're talking about. Because this.
No, I know the government that I'm talking about because I'm there.
We are living.
No. Hold on, Hillary. Let me first. No. Let me first correct you on that.
We are living in a military dictatorship.
Unless it fits you. I haven't felt that.
We are living in a military dictatorship.
No.
So the system here is totalitarianism. Now, this government has given us deaf ears. For years, we've been speaking up against about the protection of our sisters and brothers who are working in outside countries. But this government has failed to protect them. And I've told you, we're talking about regulations. Now look at our parliament. It's rotten. So the judiciary is rotten. The legislature is rotten. So the government has also killed all institutions. So now tell me, who has the powers to protect? Is there a political will to protect our brothers and sisters in these countries, in Gulf countries?
We are going back to blaming the government. Yes, I know. I don't want.
Yeah, because I think it should be the responsibility.
I don't want
the thing is,
the government.
You have to blame the government by making it accountable.
I appreciate what the government has done. I do appreciate and I do recognize.
Okay,
I see. There are things that they have really done, and we have to appreciate. We have to give credit where it's due. So, correcting you, like you said, we are living in a military dictatorship.
That's a fact.
No, it's not that. It's not. I totally disagree with you. Let me give an example. Like I told you that we young people, we have that strong power. We have the energy. Giving you an example of what happened to your friend Bobby Wine, my friend Bobby Wine. He was taken through all this situation, human rights violation because of Bobby Wine. And people were free to express themselves. They expressed themselves here in the U.S. I followed almost.
Here's the problem. Sylvia, I never wanted to.
Including Uganda. No.
Sylvia, now you see, you're mixing apples and oranges.
Even Uganda. So people were expressing.
But people were tear gassed.
But that showed you that people have power. That we have power. That we can talk. And the government, listen. At the end of the day, Bobby Wine was out. So how about us young people, like I said, us young people taking on the task that, you know what, enough is enough. Let's fight for our own young sisters, our own young brothers, because especially like us women, we are the ones who are really
let me be straight here.
How are you going to fight for them?
Let me be straight here.
How are you going to fight for them in this military dictatorship?
And this is the thing, like us coming out, told them, to take on the task. It doesn't start with us blaming the government.
But tell us, how are you going to fight for them?
All right, guys.
Military dictatorship.
It doesn't start with us blaming the government, pointing out what the government
give
has
us the
failed to do.
alternative. Give us the
we
alternative.
use what the government has failed to do. For us, we use their weaknesses.
I think I buy your idea of people coming on streets and demonstrating. But the question would be, won't they be tear gassed?
Now you see, let me tell my comrade here, Sylvia. You know what happened to Kizza Besigye recently when he went to Kabale?
Yes, I think I have an idea.
Okay, so we have the freedom of assembly.
Yes.
So why did they deny him to assemble? Yet the president went to the West and he was, campaigning. So is it a fair political ground or a political environment this government is setting, whereby you are putting blockades for the opposition?
All right. So,
but the president is enjoying all that that privilege of going and campaign in different parts of the world. So where is the freedom of assembly? Where is the freedom of expression? One, if you tell me that Kizza Besigye went to a radio talk show and the RDC gave an order to go to the mast and they disconnect the radio station from the mast, where is the freedom of speech that you're talking about? Where is the freedom of press that you're talking about? Unless when you're living in a different world. But here we're talking about reality. We are not in a virtual Uganda. We're not in a Wakanda land. So we are living in a military dictatorship. Mr. Museveni has nothing to promise Ugandans. Now, you're talking about Bobby Wine, that people rose up, people were speaking up in the US. Museveni has no rights to come and stop me from speaking in the US. Here I'm enjoying what we call the First Amendment, freedom of speech. So the founding fathers of this great nation, the United States of America, they give us that First Amendment, freedom of speech. That's why you see here, anyone can say anything at any time. So the president has no powers, the president of the US to stop me from saying whatever I want to say. So the founding fathers of this nation, they put the balance of power. And here they say the power belongs to the people, and you see that it works.
All right,
so in Uganda, it's the opposite. So if you tell me that Bobby Wine was released, that was the pressure also. And by the way, let me tell you, different actors played a role. You know what happened in the European, you know what happened
all right, so,
in the European Union.
I'm going to take you off from there, guys.
You saw what happened with the UK Parliament, with the Honorable William, when he addressed the members and they put pressure on the government. Even here in the US, Washington also sent a voice to State House. Some 7 had to listen because they told him, you can't oppress that young man. So different actors, different voices come from different parts of the world.
I want to go
and
down
they are
to...
putting pressure on the government of Mr. Museveni so that he can't oppress Ugandans like that. So look at how many times has Bobby Wine been...
All right, so guys, I'm going to take my mics back.
From organizing concerts.
I mean, my colleague,
we have the same equal rights.
I'm going to take my mics back. Sorry, first finish here.
Yes, I might agree. I really agree with you that there might have been several events whereby we've seen a violation of human rights, violation of freedom of association. Like take the case of Arua, the by-elections in Arua, the killings of people in Kasese. I mean, but again, like I will really continue
as a
putting
student,
it back to us.
Is that human?
Putting us back to us as the panel here. What have we done as young people?
So I'm going to pose some of the questions to...
What have we done as young people other than talking? You know, we need to act. Most of the times, moderator, you know, we are good at talking, but we don't act.
Here's the
in
problem.
reality.
No. Here's the problem.
And then
Here's
why
okay,
is
all right,
it
guys,
because we have
I've
fear?
told you, we are living in a military dictatorship.
All right, so let me take my mics back, please.
So you have 3 options. One is death. Second is imprisonment. You go to jail. Or third, you're going to be forced into exile.
All right, so
these are the 3 options.
Okay.
I want to go.
And again, if there are options, we've seen exemplary leaders like Nelson Mandela. We've seen exemplary leaders like Nelson Mandela, who was a freedom fighter. Didn't he?
That's what we did. Actually, I'm not going to go down into that.
He wasn't just...
That's
no,
why...
All right, guys.
Okay, thing is you're fearing like to be killed if you're really patriotic or if you're really pursuing what you want. I think you can sacrifice.
Here's the truth.
It gets somebody to sacrifice to earn what you want.
Here's the truth about what's going on. People are demonstrating, and I want to give an example. Some of our names have been listed on those. Once we step on the airport, we are going to be arrested. We already know that. That's why we, apart from being a moderator, we are also advocates.
I don't think so.
So I mean, we're gonna make it straight. I want to go down to the people who are watching us live. Our greatest platform today is Facebook. So today we're going to have a chance to look into the comments that are coming up. You can follow the discussion, send us your comments, what you think about the saga between Middle East or, Ugandans who are living in the diaspora who are really affected by the owners. Because if the government of Uganda has allowed these companies to take out the Ugandan children in these Middle Eastern countries or other countries, and then their passports are confiscated. I don't understand how somebody goes to work and then your passport is taken away by your boss than yourself.
Illegal agencies.
So those agencies, what is the government doing? Those are the questions that we've been discussing right now.
The government is just renewing their licenses each
right.
and every time.
So what do you think about this situation? How people are losing lives? You saw Narwanga who died, and the government came out.
Age.
Yes, and the government came out to say that she committed suicide. Something that even a young kid can really tell. So I want to leave that to you, people who are watching us on the different platforms. But let's get back to business again. Uganda, recently, there is a new bill, I think it was 2004, that they want to bring up again about if you want to do foreign forex, if you want to change the money you have, Hillary, that you must have a TIN number. Now the question would be, do we have to go through agents to go and change the dollars we have, or what is it that the government is trying to do, or is just trying to intimidate people who are sending money back to Uganda?
Well, I have no to be frank with you, I have no information about it, but I'll just precisely talk about it. One, this government is now trying to find all different ways to know who is sending money to Uganda, because right now they are living. The government is living in a panic mode. They have panic attacks, Mr. Museveni. So he's worried. He knows that very many potential Ugandans in diaspora are going to, fund political activities come 2021 to change the status quo. So he wants to put some tough measures to restrict Ugandans who send money back home. So he knows it very well. Bobby Wine is lobbying from different angles of the world, and people are going to be sending, their small savings to ensure that we remove this dictator from State House. And now he's trying to find for remedies. How can I stop this from happening? We know all the tricks of this dictator, because it's not the first time he has done this thing. But on the other hand, well, I say it's good for the country to know how much is entering, because it tells us that maybe it's this contribution that is coming from diaspora towards the GDP of our country. So
Sylvia, what's your opinion?
Well, I haven't really gotten much information about that, but I would a little bit disagree with Hillary, saying that it's because Museveni is trying to tighten everything. I mean, because, sending money, having a TIN number, because you said we require a TIN number. Right. Personally, I have a TIN number. The reason as to why I have it is because I want to pay taxes to my country. I want to be a responsible citizen. And one of the things that shows that you are a responsible citizen is to fulfill your taxes, right? And this is why all these developed countries, including here in the US, it's the reason as to why we are seeing these countries developing. Hold on. Coming to Hillary, I think the reason as to why they are trying to do that is to tighten the security situation.
All right,
because whereby, we have.
Security situation.
We have seen for example, we have so many. We have so many people, including individuals, who are maybe getting money from terrorists. To fund these terrorism actions. We might not really be aware of that, but I think it is for the goodwill of the country, and. Also it will help the citizens to really pay for their taxes. Imagine you sending the money. Like I said, I do pay my taxes.
Right, so I'm just looking into a situation.
Not so many Ugandans have TIN numbers, by the way.
I'm just looking into a situation, Sylvia, that people send back money. Here in the United States, we don't have to have a TIN number to send back money through Western Union or other platforms. But here's a problem. Ugandans have been registered for national IDs.
Yes.
And my understanding, each national ID has a specific number for a specific individual.
NIC number. NIN number.
Do they really need to again sign up for TIN numbers when they have the national IDs where almost everything is being tracked? Does that bring an advantage to the government of Uganda, or they just want to get more money to spend just as? Because here's a history of how things have been working. When they want to get more money, they'll always come up with a policy. That's how the system has been working. Especially during campaign time, towards campaign time, they'll always come up with something. I don't know whether you do agree with the suggestions that are coming up or you disagree with that, but that's how the trend has been going. Do you think it really makes sense for people to have TIN numbers, a private TIN number, not just as a company or something like that?
Of course, definitely. Like I say, to me as an individual, I have a TIN number, so I would say yes. We require TIN numbers. Hillary, there's no way how you're going to dodge taxes. We have so many businesses that are running in Uganda that are not even registered.
Actually,
but
we have so many. But again, going back to your point whereby you said, since we have national IDs, having a national ID, yes, it's also good because if you have your national ID, I
They
believe,
monitor how
and
much
then
they can
the
monitor
TIN
how much
number,
you
then
get.
this will help in terms of tallying the system. You know?
We use social security here. We just put in our numbers and they can monitor everything. Does that need? Is there any necessity for us to go again and just put in numbers? But if I'm just going in a country for 2 days and come back?
You know, but again, David, we should really also appreciate the fact that as a country, Uganda, we've come a long way. You know? So we cannot really bump into things and just like that, the way we want them, and things do happen. No, I mean, it's a process, I believe.
Yeah, right.
It's not that I'm supporting the government, because I don't have any political party. I'm not a politician. But I'm talking as an individual who is responsible, who, as a citizen, you know.
To protect the image of the country, right?
No, not just to protect the image of the country, but, I mean, to appreciate what the government is doing.
All right, so,
you know, but again, it will not stop me from...
We've come to a time whereby the government is trying again to divert us because of the events that have just happened recently. So the government wants Ugandans to, talk about that is it TIN numbers, and forget about the most crucial things that would strengthen our democracy. So other than focusing about TIN numbers, because you see today the financial system environment has changed. So people are using Wave, because I don't know the last time I used
Western Union or Moneygram, right?
Because that system is fading away. Today Ugandans are using, like here we're using Cash App. So Wave, go to Word Remit. So this system of Western Union, I think is getting too old, and with this generation of millennials, I think we've adapted.
All right, so I want to go a little bit.
So I think the government just wants to divert us, talking about crucial things.
I want to go.
No, I think the government is trying to advance, actually. I don't want to be... I mean, I don't want to show our viewers that I'm supporting the government, because otherwise they will end up also misquoting.
I personally know you don't support the government. So.
Look at African countries that have economically and socially transformed. So if you look at Rwanda and Ethiopia today, they've never used such things. So this government is, trust me, is trying to divert Ugandans from talking about imperative things.
All right, so let's go out of that. Now, yes, this week again, one of the greatest major story in the history of Uganda was the age limit approval by the Supreme Court. Mali Mabilis was also kind of attacked by some of the judges.
Mabilis is the hero.
And other advocates who really want to see a political change in Uganda. They were really attacked, and to a certain extent, I think it was a success for the ruling government, and it was a success for people who are now 65 years or 70 years who would wish to become future leaders of our country. It was a success for Hillary, you and I, who don't wish to join politics today, but in the future, maybe when I'm 80 and I want to become a president. So what did it tell you when you are looking to the entire story and the speeches that were given by these judges? Hillary.
To me, it has proven to us that our democracy is impotent. This regime of Mr. Museveni has proven to the entire world that he owns all institutions in our country. He has made them impotent. Now, the judiciary had that last opportunity to clean their image before the public, but they failed. The Chief Justice, Bart Katurebe, will never be forgotten in the history of our country. You see this book, this is the Constitution of Uganda, 1995. This is where everything has to be based on. It strengthens the democracy in our country. The people who revised this constitution in 1995, they had a clear vision for our country. But this military dictator, General Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, has messed it up. Now, go to the preamble. The preamble says, the first 5 words of the preamble, we, the people of Uganda. What does that mean? We, the people of Uganda. So each and every Ugandan has to understand the first 5 words under the preamble of our constitution.
Yeah,
it means the power is within the people. But we no longer have power.
I want to put you in. Yeah,
now,
so,
let me first finish, because it's very imperative for Ugandans to understand this preamble. Before you go to any article in the Constitution, first understand the preamble. So number one says what? Number one says, recalling, no, I'm still under the preamble. Recalling the history of our country. So it's saying it is characterized by political and constitutional instability. The thing is here. It is characterized by political and constitutional.
But before we even go to the...
We have to know the history of our country.
Okay.
Hold on. You're gonna come in. You see, we have to know the history of our country. David and Comrade Slavier, you know what happened in 1966? What happened? Obote gave us a pigeonhole constitution. Now, this went back to the parliament. Or before parliamentarians went, went inside the building, Obote had already tabled something. They didn't even read through.
So let me look into it.
The thing is saying, the preamble is saying, our history has been characterized by political and constitutional instability. Now let's tell the viewers what political instability or constitutional instability is the preamble talking about.
Before we even go to the preamble part of it, the genesis, let's first look at the genesis of this private members' bill. To amend the constitution. Let's first look at that. So, give a picture about that bill. I remember it is Raphael Magezi. Who presented the motion, who tabled the motion in Parliament. That was in 2017. And you saw the chaos that took place in the 10th Parliament. This is the Parliament. You saw the chaos. I want to believe that you witnessed that. Then in 2017, Raphael Magezi tabled the Constitution Amendment Bill for the first reading, right?
So let me ask actually before you go any further, and I want to put it to Hilary. The Constitution gives power to parliamentarians to amend to amend it, and secondly, the same Constitution asks for the people's view, and I think there was money put forward for these people to go and do consultations.
Now you're mixing apples and oranges. So if you're talking about consultation fee, that is a bribe. So each parliamentarian was given 29 million. So 317 parliamentarians seconded the amendment of the Constitution. So multiply 317 times 29 million.
I guess there is that's
approximately 9.19 billion Ugandan shillings. So we wasted 9.19 billion Ugandan shillings on those 317 parliamentarians who seconded the amendment of the Constitution. And this wasn't an amendment, it was raping the Constitution of Uganda. This was our only hope. We had to change the status quo. But you see, the preamble is telling you, you're failing to understand. Now it's telling us, recalling, because we have to know this word, recalling. Our country has been characterized by political instability and constitutional instability. So that's the thing I was trying to explain to you, because we have to know the genesis of this preamble. 1966, Uganda crisis, when Obote gave us the pigeonhole constitution.
All right.
But again,
first listen, because we have to understand this preamble, because we can't discuss anything.
But
because
first listen to my argument,
talk about Article 1 that talks about sovereignty of the constitution, and Article 3 talks about defense of the constitution. But again, you have to first understand the preamble.
Listen where I'm coming in from.
To your point. I'll come there.
Which
but again, I'll come there, because for me, I want to first rely on this preamble, because it's very imperative. Now, let's go to this thing. It says, recognizing our struggles against the forces of tyranny, oppression, and exploitation. Today, what are we living under? This government of Mr. Museveni has exploited us. It has oppressed us. And we, as I told you, we are living in a military tyranny.
I think Hillary, what we are failing to understand.
Hold on.
Okay.
Now, in 1966, Obote abolished kingdoms. And Obote gave himself 5 years to become the president of Uganda. So whatever was passed in that parliament, it was uncouth.
All right,
and
so
it has never been forgotten.
Okay.
So that's why this
so guys, I'm taking back the microphone.
Let me first bring you back. Let me first bring you back to this point.
All right.
Now, what happened? Let's go to 1967. What happened? So Obote enacted this pigeonhole constitution, and he became president for 5 years. So that's the genesis of messing up the constitution. Now, in 1995,
Hillary, this goes to you.
In 1995,
First, hold on.
in 1995,
let's give her time.
People sat down.
Let's give her time.
And they said, let's amend a better constitution.
All right, so I'm going to come back to you.
Will strengthen the democracy of Uganda.
Here, I'm going to come back to you. Sylvia, what do you have to say?
Yes, like you said, Hillary, 317 MPs voted in for the bill, and 97 were against it. So I think what we are forgetting is that if we are really ready to advocate for the rule of law, we should strengthen our systems.
So how
because that's the question I was going to ask. How are the systems going to be strengthened when people are...
Hold on. How are we going to strengthen these systems? This goes back. I will emphasize, I will insist on you and me. Strengthening the systems, we have to start from the grassroots. No, strengthening the systems, we have to start from the grassroots.
All right, guys. So I'm running out of time.
I think Sylvia here is trying to mislead us.
No. I'm not misleading you. No, Hillary. First, give me time.
For me, the thing is, the Supreme Court has betrayed Ugandans, and again, also the Constitution Court has betrayed Ugandans.
No.
Let me make it simple.
Let
me make it simple.
No, Hillary. First, listen. I had it first, actually.
Look at the way each and everything was done.
All right, guys.
These judges planned each and everything. You see what happened in 2017 with Kenya. When you look at David Maraga, the Chief Justice, he said to President Kenyatta, the election wasn't free and fair, and they had to reconduct a new election. But again, so they
let me interject, Hillary. Let me interject and finish my point, because I'm not really trying to mislead you guys, but my emphasis is, why am I emphasizing on us strengthening the system? Because we have to start from the grassroots. Why am I saying this? We have the members of parliament who represent the people. And we are the people who vote in for these members of parliament, you know? And believe me not, we are coming 2021. We are the same people who are gonna vote in for the same members of parliament.
So let me ask you, this is gonna be a yes or no question, right? If these members of parliament come back, are you going to decampaign for their re-election? Yes or no? It's a closed question. Are you going to decampaign for their re-election? Or are you going to campaign for them to be re-elected?
Well,
the same members who are amended
for example, for my member of parliament where I come from, I will campaign for him.
Is she NRM? Is he or
He's
she NRM?
NRM, but he represents my voice.
And
the other people's voice.
All right. So
that is Honorable Alex Ruhonda.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Now,
So here, it's going to be a yes or no. Are you going to continue the campaigning these people who amended the constitution, or you're going to campaign for them?
What Ugandans have to do in this scenario is to, rise up and reclaim the power that this constitution gives them. Because today, as I've been saying time and again, we are living in a military dictatorship. So there is nothing we can do about this thing. And again, you see, these judges may have set that precedent, but I can assure Ugandans that this will be changed very soon.
All right.
If we get a new leader, hold on. In 2021, when Bobi Wine becomes the president of Uganda, the first thing we have to do is to amend this constitution and make it, working, because this is now trash.
Okay,
no
so
longer working.
are you gonna?
They
all right,
have
so
repped it.
my time is
this constitution is like this constitution is like a body. So they've removed all the organs. The heart is removed, the kidney is removed. It can no longer function. So in 2021 February, when Bobi Wine becomes president, we are going to get a constitutional review, an inclusive constitutional review that will, amend a constitution to a powerful constitution. You see,
so,
today we are in the US,
right?
And look at the constitution. It has lived for over 300 years. So if you look at the founding fathers of this nation, they've, thought beyond years and years, decades and decades, to see that USA becomes the hegemon of the world in terms of democracy. So we want also to have the same constitution. It's possible once people have power.
All right.
That belongs
So,
to them.
Sylvia, I want to pose my last question.
We are going to do it peacefully.
Because,
we want to use what we call
I'm just
the vote, the power of the vote.
I'm just looking into.
Vote,
I'm just here. So Sylvia, I'm just looking into what's going on in Facebook, and people are like, do you support NRM or you're against NRM? And if no, do you support where do you belong?
Like I said, I don't support any political party, and all the views that I'm giving are my own views as a citizen, as actually a proud citizen of Uganda. And back to you, Hillary, you should agree with me that let's respect the rule of law right from the grassroots.
No, you can't respect whatever the judges pass, because these judges, we have to fire them in 2021. Actually,
let me first finish my point. Let me first finish my point.
In
this point,
we are going to get a people's government that is going to fire all the 7 Supreme Court justices, and we come up with something transparent. So we shall review.
But the vote was 3-4
before the public. Yes, no, we have to, because it was politics that was being played. So if you look at the way they did their things, now look at the Chief Justice Baturebe. He was lying us that his eyes is going for surgery. Those are political games. So we know everything was fake.
Hillary, like I said,
from the sitting
if we,
look at the way
Hillary, like I said earlier, if we to win, we have to respect the rule of law. It's one way how we're going to strengthen our systems right from the
grassroots.
Guys,
we have to use.
Okay, I'm gonna take.
Hillary, listen. Why am I saying this? Yes. As citizens, we have to take full responsibility. Come 2021, go vote.
Yes, you see,
go
now
and vote.
For me, I want all Ugandans who are watching this program, let's embrace the words of Thomas Jefferson, the 3rd president of the US. He said, when injustice becomes law, resistance becomes duty. Let's resist this government of Mr. Museveni and remove them out of power.
All right, so those are
build a better Uganda that is inclusive for each and every one.
So those are words of here, not words of Life MTV or Campfire TV USA. Those are words of here. But I think I would be somehow I would agree with you. I would agree with Sylvia too, because we all have different opinions over the same issue. Now, my last question, because we are closing the show now. Where do you see Uganda with the way the politics is being played today, now that they are, Sylvia, this question goes to you, now that they are legally defiling or raping, as Hillary put it, the Constitution. They're doing it legally. they're amending the constitution legally because the constitution gives them power. Where do you see the country coming in the coming years? I want to pose it to Sylvia. What do you think?
Well, like I said, as citizens of Uganda, we got to respect the rule of law right from the grassroots. And that means we have to take full responsibility.
How?
Because through the ballot paper,
through
the ballot paper, fair and free.
If you look at the 3 previous presidential elections, it has been evident enough that this dictator has been rigging elections. So what are you talking about? The power of the ballot paper?
All right, so I can't go.
The dictator has been rigging elections.
I can't go far from there.
I think we might, because I don't want to disagree a lot with Hillary. Otherwise, your online audience might think that Sylvia is NRM. I'm not NRM, and
so
I'm not,
and actually that's what I'm seeing here, because really viewers are like, is she from NRM?
I'm not NRM, and I'm not opposition.
But see, David, just to answer that question, where do you see Uganda? For me, it goes back to now to using our numbers as citizens, because we as young people, if we can use our numbers, then we can change the status quo. We cannot allow this country to move forward like this when we have the numbers that we can use to change the status quo. So let each and every Ugandan person, young Ugandan person who's watching this program, think about this thing that in the future, your kids or kids-to-be, they will be asking you a question: what did you do to change the status quo? So for me and each and everyone who's watching, I want us to take up the mantle and do each and everything possible, so that when your kids in the future ask you, you will tell them that I tried, but maybe I failed. So let's not give up on this struggle. We may have lost that battle of the Supreme Court, but the war is still on. So let's use our resilience, let's use our numbers, and we defeat this dictator Museveni out of power and build a better Uganda for each and everyone.
All right, yes, Sylvia.
On my side, I would love to really call upon young people that let's take full responsibility as citizens, and also if we are yearning for change, which is not bad, but again, how do we want this change to happen? Right, we need a peaceful transformation. We don't need to go back in those years of Amin or whatever likes. And this lies to us, the young people, the young generation. We need to take full responsibility. And young people go out there, go for these positions. And
all right.
If you...
so you guys...
so after 33 years, the guy is still greedy for power.
All right, so I want to thank you guys.
Yet when he was coming in power, he was telling us Ugandans, the problem of African leaders is overstaying in power. What happened with his own words? Has he forgotten his own words? Is he becoming one of the Bobons of the French Revolution, who forgotten nothing and learned nothing?
And this makes me think that the problem of us, the young people, we are good at talking, but we are not good at acting.
All right, so I want to thank you guys
here.
Sylvia, I want to thank you so much for
go for these leadership positions.
Each and everything possible. So we are going to support young people. We are going to lobby for funds.
It's your right. It's your right to support whoever candidate you want. It is your right.
So let Mr. Museveni know that we are building a team here in diaspora, and we are going to go to donors. We fundraise money, we inject it in campaigns, and we change the status quo. So we are not giving up.
This is not actually a message to Museveni. I don't think, Hillary, you're giving this message to Museveni. You would rather give the message to the people in Uganda who vote for Museveni. Because I think what we are forgetting actually is that you are blaming Museveni, and yet it is the people who vote for Museveni.
All right, guys. So I want to thank you so much.
Museveni is manipulating people.
All right, so guys, let me take my microphone back.
Ugandans are decorations.
All right, guys.
So it's the only problem we have for now.
I want to thank you so much for being part of the show and your views. For people who don't know Sylvia, she's not actually she's not as she has said. All right, so but I want to thank you. Hillary, I want to thank you, Sylvia, for coming up and also, bring up a different view, because we've always been looking for someone who can give us a different view apart from that one way. So
before the show, she was telling
me a different version. And now, if you come to the show, she gives a different version.
I think she's trying to.
So she has two versions.
I know. No, the thing is,
protect.
it is so surprising how Hillary is so interested in seeing Bobby Wine go for 2021,
right.
Which is not really bad. But the thing is,
how are we gonna do it?
How are you
guys,
gonna do it?
thank you guys.
Thank
you so much.
And also, let's give credit to the government
all right,
for what they have done,
let me
despite of the few challenges.
All right, let me take my microphones back.
We'll
For the people who are
leaders.
watching us from whichever part of the world, I want to thank you so much for being part of Uganda Crossroads, and of course part of our other programs, Love, Sex and Money. This Saturday again, this coming Saturday, April 27th, we're having a town hall meeting here live in our studio. Dr. Daniel Kawoma, who is one of the presidential candidates for UNA, he will be here with us, and I'll be one of the co-hosts. So we expect a lot of information from him, and of course, to tell us what he's planning to do for UNA as an organization that brings Ugandans in North America together. Don't forget to tune in, and if you're in New York, Maine, Maryland, or other states around Massachusetts, come in the studio. Entrance is going to be completely free. So you're welcome to be part of the show. And for the comments that have been coming in, I want to thank you so much, all the viewers. You are doing a great job on being part of the program. Have a great time. See you next Saturday, same time, Uganda Crossroads, and in the evening or afternoon, the town hall meeting. I'll be here. Have a good week, and happy Easter.
Uningiriza life eno yange, kolelera future life is so hard. If it wasn't for this, I would take a plane to Campfire. Sibali manjakale no show. Campfire, siguliriza siringe no. Campfire, nebitu simba nebitu gatai. Alexander, mama sunda tugende. We talk about relationships, stability, and the cause of diversity. Versatile ways, optimism is got me thinking I should say to listen. Campfire talk show. Oh, yeah.